Hey, what's up all of you beautiful subscribers? Welcome back to the Chapple Show, where we talk about business news, stock market news, and a bunch of other stuff too. So we're going to talk about obviously our stock market winners and losers, our stock market movers, as we always do in every episode. But first I want to talk actually about Tesla today. I want to talk about Tesla again because I saw a couple interviews recently. Now, the interviews didn't get released, they got released about a month or two ago, but I thought it was interesting to talk about. So Tesla is releasing an electric truck. I don't know if you've heard of this, but they're releasing an electric truck. I'm just going to air a 20-second clip here.
So you mentioned the Semi, and I think you're planning to announce this in September, but I'm curious whether there's anything you could show us today.
I will show you a teaser shot of the truck.
Teaser shot.
It's live.
All right, so Tesla is releasing this electric, pretty badass looking truck. Actually, if you're in podcasts, sorry, but it just looks like a very futuristic. They don't show the entire thing, but it's very futuristic. And this is something that's actually been developed. Elon Musk has driven it through, the SpaceX parking lot, I think he said, or Tesla parking lot, whatever it was. And so I thought it was interesting to kind of talk about the implications for what could happen if this electric truck were to be implemented and replaced a lot of classic truck and truck driving jobs. So the very first thing I just kind of want to touch on actually is probably, so this electric truck that Tesla is developing, if it can drive by itself through all parts of the United States that don't get snow 4 months of the year, that's still actually pretty far away. I mean, even if this thing were to be developed and is good to go and could drive right now through the United States, regulators are not going to let that happen because truck driving is, I think it's the #1 job, most common job of adult white males, and it's like truck drivers take up an absurd amount of the job. It's like 3 to 5 million people are truck drivers, and so even if this thing's good to go, I can't see regulators being able to, just say, hey, Tesla, you know what? You can just replace all the truck drivers right now. All the truck driving companies are going to go the way of the dinosaur within the span of 6 months. You're good to go. I don't see that happening. In fact, I think that this is going to be a really slow process between the time when this is good to go and is able to be mass produced and scaled throughout the entire United States, and the time that it'll actually be allowed to transport goods. So, but this is really cool too, is that, I mean, this is a giant truck. This is a giant semi-truck, and it's not going to, again, it's just not going to have a driver. It's going to completely revolutionize the transportation of goods and services, of goods across the United States, North America, potentially the world. So I thought that this was a really cool idea. And here's another thing too, is that this is actually supposed to be more powerful and more efficient than those big trucks. And so it's going to hopefully, be good for the environment. It'll also be able to transport more goods. So I just thought that was interesting. This is not a Tesla ad, by the way. I just thought that this was something really cool, which I really wanted to talk about. So we're going to move on here to actually just the last piece of Tesla news here before we move on. Is so Tesla, remember that Hyperloop, which I've been talking about periodically over the past month or two? Well, they released this video from people that developed, there was a bunch of students actually developed a Tesla pod, and, well, just watch. So that's again, this is something that's so cool. I mean, 5 years ago, this was just a theory of something that could be done. And so anyways, in this video, for those of you listening podcast form, it's pretty much, it shows a camera attached to this pod, and it's just it's shooting through this tunnel, this, whatever it is, the Boring Company tunnel. And it reached a top speed of 201 miles per hour, which is 324 kilometers per hour, more than 3 times the speed limit of the highways here in Canada, which is absolutely insane. So again, this is just one thing I promised to update you guys on. And it looks like this is getting closer to potentially being an actual thing that can be implemented into cities. The tunneling underground, this Hyperloop, tunneling underground, hooking it up to some sort of, hooking up your car or whatever pod or whatever you're going to use. I don't know what Elon wants to do with this. Hooking up your car to this thing being shot at 324 kilometers per hour. and getting you from, I mean, think about that, 324 kilometers per hour with no traffic. That's taking you from, let's see, from Toronto to, I don't know, London or what. I don't know what a good comparable is here, but that's that's absolutely insane. That's probably from Toronto to Windsor even, maybe. That's like a 5-hour drive sometimes. Like, it's ridiculous. So anyways, I thought that was cool to kind of update you guys on here how far that stuff has come. I think that we're going to move on here to the next thing I want to talk about here is actually this Uber. Uber's finally hired a new CEO. So Travis, what is his name? Kalecki? I don't know who is the guy that what was his name? It's Travis something, right? The old CEO. Travis. Okay, so Travis Kalanick was the old Uber CEO, but I don't know if he was kind of kicked out and forced to resign, I guess. He had 3 scandals in the span of 1 year. They were like, okay, it's probably better for Uber to hire a new CEO. So they hired this guy. His name is Dara Khosrowshahi. I don't know how to pronounce. I'm so bad with names. And so he's the new CEO, and so this article here, I'll link it down below, but it pretty much goes over some of the key points, which we'll talk about here. Like, what he will do for the company, why does this matter to you, why am I talking about this, who cares, it's just one guy. I think that what it matters most to you is that they picked him because he's probably the best suited person to lead Uber into an IPO, which is something interesting that I took from this. So, it says, whatever this guy's name is, Dara is a strategic innovator and has shown the ability to make timely deals at Expedia. By the way, so we'll cover some of these points here. So this new CEO, he's led Expedia, which is doing very well. I believe that they are one of the top market movers today. We'll cover that in a second. He's led Expedia, making growing company and profitable. He's fairly young for a CEO. I think he's 40. Yeah, it says 48 right here. I could have just read that point here. He's 48, which still by CEO standards, I know for a tech CEO, that's pretty old, but for a CEO as a whole, that's still very young. We're talking CEOs usually are in their mid to late 50s when they actually get that position. But for tech, he's actually kind of old. I mean, again, actually this article, I should just read it here. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is like, what, 30-something, 32? He's been CEO of Facebook for, 12 years or whatever now. Same with Travis, was a fairly young guy. I mean, Snapchat guy, Evan Spiegel's only a few years older than me. He's probably 4 years older than me. Maybe a little bit older than that. But so he's still fairly young. I mean, he's critical. Let's see. He's critical of President Trump. He's in the catbird seat. Don't know what that is. And then this article mentioned he's still another male CEO. So Uber's had that one of their scandals was that, there was some sexism going on at Uber and that the female employees weren't being treated very well. And so I guess that this article says that they were surprised it's not a female, just to kind of, have a better public opinion that they're progressive and stuff. But here's the deal. Again, you guys know my opinion on all this stuff. Just hire the best person for the job. I mean, if they had a female that was better than Dara Kalash, I don't know what his name is. I can't pronounce his last name. If they found a female that was better, than pick her. But apparently this guy was the best person available, so pick him. I mean, I have nothing wrong with that. So I guess it could be bad for optics that, they don't really have a lot of top female people at the company. I don't really know. I just pick people that's best for the job. By the way, oh man, I had to think about this today. I'm getting a lot closer to hiring people. I've said this for like 3 months. I've listened to a podcast, actually, Bill Burr, and I've listened to him for like a year, just for fun sometimes. Like when I'm going to bed or something, I don't want to listen to business podcasts all the time. So I listen to Bill Burr. He's a comedian. And I've noticed that every single podcast, he's like, I'm quitting drinking. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. And he actually just said it again when I was listening to the podcast. He's been saying that for a year. He hasn't quit drinking. And I think that for me, it's going to be like, I'm going to hire someone. I'm going to hire someone really, really soon. I swear I'm going to hire someone. I've been saying that for like 3 months now, and I haven't done it yet. Anyways, so hiring people. Yeah, I've actually had to look. I looked into that pretty deeply yesterday, hiring web developers, because I think that I'm trying to keep you guys updated on all this stuff here, but I'm at a point now where I'm good to go. I'm coding the site, except there are a few things that I do not have the time to learn. I want to get this up in the next 2 months or so, and if I were to learn a whole different branch of what I need to learn regarding databases and back end stuff with an e-commerce marketplace. It'll probably push me back another 2 months, and I just really don't want to do that. So I'll just do what I can. I'll build the site how I can, which is still going to be very good. And then maybe a year or two down the line, I can look at getting investors potentially, or I can, just cash flow and get a web developer. We'll see what happens with that. So anyways, we're going to move on to the next topic here. I want to talk about, what's this actually? Okay, so this is just a big news story. I actually didn't read into this. I don't know why I have this open here. Gilead, man, Gilead, is that how you pronounce them? Advancing therapeutics, improving lives. They're going to buy Kite for a promising cancer therapies in a $12 billion deal, and so $180 per share in an all-cash deal. Wow. Okay, that's pretty damn impressive. All cash. Whew. Anyways, I thought I'd get that out of the way. Let's talk about this Amazon Whole Foods thing here, because as of today, the price cuts that are happening with Whole Foods, well, actually, they're happening today. I talked about this on Friday. The price cuts took effect today, and man, they are cutting some of the prices down by like 47%. I mean, there's this picture right here on this website for all of you on the podcast form about how these, what were these, organic gala apples? Organic gala apples, they were $2.99 a pound. Wow, okay, expensive. $2.99 a pound at Whole Foods on Friday, and now after the price change, they're $1.99 a pound. I think is this just for Prime members? No, I think it's for everyone here. So they've been cutting down all the prices. Avocados. Millennial avocados have been cut down from $2.50 each down to $1.49 each. All of a sudden Whole Foods is now competing with normal grocery chains. Maybe not the likes of Walmart yet, but I mean, now all of a sudden these prices here, again, milk's down, I say milk, not milk. Milk is down about 50 cents a jug, so from $4 to $3.49, not bad. I mean, other milk down from $2.19 to $1.9. Again, it's just price cuts I love that all these pictures are here. So what do you guys think about all this? What do you guys think of all of the price cuts? And obviously it's good for you guys. You know what? This is kind of good for... I know people hate capitalism, but this is, one of those things which is good. I mean, all of a sudden, healthy food is going to be cheaper because Amazon bought it, and is gonna, I don't know, run the store in a better way, I guess. Because Amazon's such a giant company, they're able to do this and potentially lose money and still be profitable as a company as a whole. So, anyways, I didn't know that the prices would be reduced that much. I was thinking, maybe 10% reduction, 10, 15, 20%. But, I mean, like 40% for some of these, almost 50% for some items. That's a lot better than I thought it'd be. And it says more to come. I'm guessing they haven't implemented the Amazon Prime thing yet. How if you're a Prime member, you get an extra discount here. Maybe. Anyways, that was a story I wanted to touch on here. I want to also touch on this Missouri minimum wage thing here because, again, it's something that I think I should talk about here. So every time that there's a minimum wage thing that goes on any sort of level, I just like to talk about it, I guess. I like to talk about my opinions about this stuff here and what do I think here. So I've been thinking about this a lot actually recently, about how, the minimum wage it should be dictated almost solely on the municipal level. Here's my opinion on this, is that, for example, a minimum wage, let's say throughout the United States, if it was $5, okay, I know that's really, really low, but it's $5, okay? If it was $5, then some places let's give a different example here. Let's say the minimum wage on the federal level was a standard $15, okay? $15 per hour. $15 per hour minimum wage. Okay, so in a place like Silicon Valley, that minimum wage probably can't even pay you rent and food for the entire year. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. It depends on how you spend your money. All right, so in a place like Silicon Valley, that minimum wage is going to suck. Now, in a place like I mean, people in Silicon Valley, companies are gonna be willing to pay that minimum wage and still make profits too. Okay, so now let's go to a place like Missouri. If Missouri, in the middle of Missouri, I don't know too much about them because, well, I'm guessing they don't have a lot of business going on there, right? So in Missouri, if a $15 minimum wage went on there, all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot of companies, they're going to fire a lot of people because they can't pay that $15 minimum wage because there's not enough economic activity going on there. You know, they're either going to fire a bunch of people or they're going to go bankrupt. That's seriously what's going to happen, at least temporarily. I know that in the long run, minimum wage doesn't really matter too much, to be honest here. But in the short term, that's what happens. Over the course of a few years, that's what happens. So anyways, we got this story here about how, I talked about this last week. $10 minimum wage in St. Louis went into effect or I guess it was a few weeks ago in May. After a 2-year court battle, days later, the Republican-led Missouri legislature passed a bill that requires $7.70 per hour minimum wage statewide. And this is actually kind of what I think should happen. I think on the municipal level, there should be one minimum wage, and on a state level, there should be a much lower minimum wage. Like just so like whatever, a person in the middle of nowhere can still have a living wage, I guess. Now, my also opinion on the minimum wage deal is that because you make minimum wage, that doesn't mean you should live a super comfortable life. All right, if you make minimum wage, like that should be enough for like rent and like enough to live, like food. Like that's what I think if you were to work full-time minimum wage, like that's what it should be. It doesn't mean that you should be able to get that HD TV or whatever, or that high-speed whatever phone or the new iPhone or whatever. I don't think so. That's just my opinion on that. Like minimum wage, you should be able to live on it wherever you are living, but you shouldn't be able to live super comfortably. And again, when things like this go up, it temporarily hurts a lot of businesses here. So let's see. Kansas City. So Kansas City voters on August 8th approved a $10 minimum wage with incremental increases to $15 by 2022. If you aren't paying attention to what's happening where I live in Ontario, I think the minimum wage right now is like 12 to 13 bucks. And in the next 2 years, it's going to be up to 15 bucks. 15 bucks an hour, meaning that the person making minimum wage is going to make what? That's 30 grand a year, roughly, which that's really, really high. Think about that. A cashier or a McDonald's worker or whatever, they're going to be making almost 30 grand a year, which is almost the median income for someone in the United States working full time. And so anyways, what do you guys think about all that? I think we're just going to move on to the stock market winners and losers right now. But what do you guys think of all of that? Let me know in the comments down below. That's my opinion. And hopefully all these, I don't know too much. I'm not commenting on what actually is going to happen in Missouri because I just seriously don't know much about Missouri. Like I'm not an expert on Missouri economics. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. So we're going to move on to the stock market winners and losers. Let's take a look at the S&P here. Let's see, it closed about an hour ago. And S&P up, okay, so S&P pretty much had an average day up 0.05%, so almost nothing happened there. Excuse me. See the market movers today. So Expedia actually had the biggest loss today. Expedia had the biggest loss of 4.5%, Chesapeake Energy, so it looks like oil had a bad day. Everest, Regroup, XL Group, they're all down 3%, 2%. Kimco is down. Again, it looks like oil had a bad day here, and it looks like mining and resources had a good day. So the biggest winner today was Newmont Mining Corporation. Looks like biotech had a good day. ResMed Inc. up 1.8%. Lam Research Corp up 1.8% here. So again, it doesn't really look like any of the giant major companies had a big day today. I guess Micron Technology up 2.6%. EA up 1.5%. Anyways, Home Depot up 1.2%. McDonald's is up. Sorry, I'm just going to check some of the key stocks here on my phone here. Visa up 0.4%. McDonald's up 0.5% here. Snapchat up 2.77%. Yeah. Okay, they are a weird stock, but man, they've rebounded. Well, not really. I guess what did they IPO'd at $27. They're at $15 a share. What am I saying? They rebounded. They're not even close. They rebounded from their low of $11.83. Now they're at $15, but Anyways, that's my opinion on all that. Anyways, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Make sure to check out my stock market program in the link below if you want to learn how to set up your account, see my portfolio, whatever. Or check out my Wealth Accelerator. It's like 16 hours or 14 hours of whatever teaching you how to build a side business, what it takes, and so on. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people, and I'll see you guys in the next video.